This is Unit 2, Chapter 4, Lesson 6, Multiplying Fractions. Here's Mrs. Purdue.
Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to multiply fractions. And by the end of this lesson, you will be able to say, I can multiply fractions and mixed numbers. Here at the bottom, we have 3 target problems. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve each of those 3 problems. So let's look at the rule for multiplying fractions. To multiply fractions, first thing you have to do is you have to multiply the numerators straight across. And then you can multiply the denominators straight across. And then you have to simplify. You always want to try to simplify your fractions into lowest terms so you're not dealing with bigger numbers. Okay? So let's look at this example. The first example is 3/5 times 5/9. So the rule says you multiply straight across, so 3 times 5, then you multiply 5 times 9, so I'm going to write that down here, and you end up with 15/45. Now, if you look at this, you can simplify 15/45. They are both divisible by 15. Now, if you can't think of 15 right off the top of your head, you can start with a smaller factor such as 3 or 5. You're just going to have to keep dividing it out until you get to the lowest terms. So I'm going to divide this top number, which is the numerator, by 15, divide the 45 by 15, and I'm going to end up with 1/3. So when I multiply 3/5 times 5/9, my answer should be 1/3. Now, there's one other thing that you guys need to know in order to move this right into your algebra concepts, and that is to cross cancel, or sometimes you may have heard it as cross simplify. It's the exact same thing. So cross cancel or cross simplify means that you're going to simplify the problem before you multiply it out. So what you have to do is I'm going to take this same exact problem, 3/5 times 5/9, and I'm going to look at the diagonal numbers, so the 3 and the 9, and I'm going to look at the 5 and the 5, and I'm going to see if they're divisible by the same factor. Because I know that 5 divides by 5, I can write divided by 5, and I'm going to cross off and put a 1. Because I divided this one by 5, I have to do it to the number that is diagonal to it. So this is divisible by 5 also, so I'm going to cross this off and put a 1. Now the 3 and the 9, they are also divisible by the same factor. They're divisible by 3. So I'm going to, you can't leave, according to Mr. Romanovich. You have to divide by 3 here, so you're going to cross off the 3 and you're going to put a 1. So you have to divide this by 3 as well because you did it to this number. So 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. So really, I'm multiplying 1 times 1, and on the bottom, I'm multiplying 1 times 3. And when I do that, I end up with this simplified form of this multiplication problem. This is cross-canceling. Now, if you only did one of them, you will have to simplify at the end. So if I only cross-canceled the 5s and not the 3 and the 9, I would end up with something a little bit different where I had to simplify at the very end. So just double check to make sure your final answer is in lowest terms. Let's look at an example number 1. Here we have 2/3 times -6. In order to multiply a fraction by a whole number, you need to put your 6 over 1 to make it look like a fraction. So what you're going to do is you can rewrite it so it says 2/3 times -6 over 1. One strategy that you might want to use is to keep the negative in your numerator.
Good morning, everyone. We will be meeting in the multi-purpose room in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sorry about that interruption. So yes, we are at our PLC time, which doesn't mean anything to you, but let's continue. So here we go. We have to cross cancel because the 2 and the 6 are both divisible by 3. So we're going to take 3 divided by 3, we're going to cross it off, and we're going to make this a 1. Because we did this here, we can also divide the diagonal numerator by 3 as well. So -6 divided by 3, I'm going to cross this off, and I'm going to make this a -2. So now I can multiply straight across. So 2 times -2 over 1 times 1. And I'm going to write my answer down here, which gives me -4 over 1, or just -4. Remember, a positive times a negative will give you a negative number. So you have to apply your multiplication, positive and negative numbers, to fractions as well. let's try mixed numbers. So before we multiply mixed numbers, you have to change them to improper fractions first. So you're going to make this first one negative. So then you just change it to an improper fraction like we have done in the past. 8 times 1 plus 7. This is going to give me 15 eighths. One strategy is, I'm going to remind you, keep the negative in your numerator, just so you don't forget about it. And this is multiplied by negative, and then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2, which gives me 12. So this is 12 fifths. One thing about multiplication, you do not need a common denominator. Now I'm going to look for cross-canceling. The 15 and the 5. They're both divisible by 5, so I'm going to kind of write myself a little note. I'm going to divide both these by 5. This becomes negative 3. 5 divided by 5, this is going to become 1. Now I can look at the 8 and the negative 12. These are both divisible by 2, but there's a bigger number that I want to use, and that's going to be a 4. If I can use the bigger number, I know my end result could possibly be in smallest terms. So I'm going to use 8 divided by 4, and I'm going to make this a 2. So negative 12 divided by 4, this gives me negative 3. So when I multiply, I'm multiplying negative 3 times negative 3 over 2 times 1. So my answer for this multiplication problem is going to be negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9 over 2 times 1, which is 2. And now you can simplify this, or because I know that this is in smallest terms as an improper fraction, you can keep it at 9/2, or you can change it to a mixed number. 2 goes into 9 4 times, which gives me 8. There's going to be 1 left over, and your 2 stays your denominator. Either answer would be fine. Let's look at I think we are done. So let's try your target problems. So can you hit the target? You have number 1, 2 thirds times 1/3. Number 2 is 2 and 1/4 times negative 8/9. And your third target problem is negative 1/4 times 4/5. Give it a try.